was hitting this Ember and he gets disrupted, and it's like the fight's over.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just way too hard. So maybe they will come up with a better solution in game 2.
So far, solution looking like they're going to continue banning out Timber Mars, OG ban out the IO and Spearbreaker, pick up Snap, Liquid respond with Weaver Magnus.
Now, I'm a little bit concerned seeing this Magnus just because one of the points of criticism Avery and I had in the last game was that we thought Liquid's itemization on the carry was maybe too slow. If they're picking a Magnus, I wonder if they're going to try to slow things down and go in that direction, because I think if they do that, I'm a little bit worried that OG are playing too high tempo for them to be able to pull that off. Like in the last game, they kind of weathered the storm, but it was to a losing condition. In this game, maybe the Magnus can handle or weather the storm as well.
I thought your critique was that with a troll building Battle Fury, it was Battle Fury +1 that you're waiting for. Now a carry can just go for their main item. They'll have Empower on their side.
Yeah, Empower isn't what it used to be for allies, though. Like, it doesn't... Magnus had that change where Empower got better on himself and worse on everyone else, and it kind of put Magnus in a position where I think if you pick it as a core specifically to empower a carry, I think you're going to have a bad time. Like, Magnus himself needs to scale with it, or he needs to be a utility offlaner, similar to what Team Spirit did at TI with Collapse, where you play it for the utility and the repositioning tools. But that obviously got heavily nerfed in that role and hasn't been favored much since.
Yeah, if you're not playing, I think you kind of have to play this Mag for Empower and RP now a bit more. I think the Horn Toss skewer is just way too unreliable. They have any sort of insta-stun, any sort of lift. People can press their BKBs. It's pretty difficult. So I also want to note that Insania has been playing Mag 5. So it is an option that maybe they're considering in terms of flexing it. But I think already with the Slardar pick,
Mag
it's a
5
pretty large
not
deterrent. Yeah, you're not gonna lane that unless I think you had Troll. I think Troll is the one hero. Maybe that Dusa, which they actually banned both, and maybe Terrorblade are some of the carries that might be able to salvage a 5-mag lane versus Slardar, but it's honestly probably pretty difficult. So it's likely that they're going to throw it in one of the other 2 lanes.
And you're saying 5-mag would be annoying because you're just going to get bashed if you're a melee?
I mean, personally, I think, yeah, the lane's just way too hard to play because you don't have any interaction with Slardar. You can never skewer him, you can't man-fight him. He just runs your carry down if you ever leave the lane to try and pull. I think it's just way too difficult. It's kind of asking for trouble. But I think there are some pros to 5-mag in general in terms of if you get away with it. His laning isn't that weak. People tend to underestimate it. And that's where some of his weaknesses in terms of how much impact does he have as a core. If you're just a 5 and you're empowering your carry, that feels amazing, right? Because now you're not worried about your own personal impact or how your farm distribution is looking like. You're just amping up your carry who becomes a beast. And you're feeling pretty good.
I'm not personally very sold on support mag nearly as much as back when Empower just was better, because like the payoff now compared to then is it's just objectively worse in every way, right, than the old mag when it was played support. I think in order to pull off a support mag that maxes Empower, you really need to have more information than you do when you first phase it, in my opinion. Like I just don't think there's any guarantee that you can get the game into that game state where you can...
No, it's definitely dependent.
Especially in this patch where teams are playing fast, I just feel like it's dangerous.
I wouldn't be... Slardar solves a lot of issues then, because now your Weaver going to have Corrosive Haze detection constantly.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised to see an Invoker for either team in the second phase here. I think it proposes decent things for both lineups in terms of controlling the tempo and countering out some of this like mag amp empowering, and also the Slardar hates playing versus Invoker in terms of you ever get tornadoed in a fight, you're just sitting duck. And I'm pretty sure Mickey does play the hero. I was watching him play some pubs on it and it looked pretty good. And BZM, it's his level 30 signature.
Right.
So I could see Invoker coming out second phase here.
This is starting to feel a little... This is giving me some sort of pocket strat vibes, where there's something going on here that OG don't know about yet. You're picking Magnus, Dazzle, 2 heroes that aren't particularly popular. Maybe you're aiming for some sort of specific item timing or interaction with... I don't know, I'm trying to think of what carry you would want to play with this that benefits massively from both of these.
I mean, Terrorblade, right?
TB definitely does very well.
I mean, I think Terrorblade's their best pick. They have to be aiming for it. It's basically a minus armor strat. You're going in with the Empower for a carry that utilizes it, and you need a good shallow grave target.
Yeah.
The Dazzle is something that Insania has just been playing a lot, so he might just think it's a powerful lane support, and he's trying to kind of just expand the pool. It's also one of these fat melee offlane counters, right? So traditionally, Slardar, he goes to the lane, he needs to be able to hit your core. He gets poison touched, you run him off the lane. It's a pretty bad form of interaction for Slardar in general.
Yeah.
So the lane, he might just think it's a pretty good lane setup here in terms of maybe their side lanes didn't go as aggressively as they wanted last game, right? So now they're trying to amp the aggression. It's kind of counterintuitive to think of Dazzle as an aggressive hero, but there are some worlds in which it can work. I think the hero thrives when he can actually play off the early poison levels and really drive the lane in his carry's favor. Dazzle PA, Dazzle Terrorblade, these types of things.
We got head-to-head minus armor strats going on here.
Yeah, we definitely do.
Getting picked up, which we're seeing pretty much exclusively the right-click build.
This is an awesome Tide pick, in my opinion. I think he interacts really well with both strategies. Even if he's played as a 5 here, the thing that's really good about Tide is, first of all, it's one of the only heroes you really feel bad about RPing, because you can always just crack and chill off, and you can counter the fight with Ravage. Also, if he is getting put in a position where he has to lane against Dazzle, he can Kraken off the Poison Touch and reset it.
I think it's almost for sure a 3 Tide, right?
It doesn't have to be. I mean, we could still work with a Slardar 3 and a Tide 5. If you don't put Slardar 3, what do you think his role is in this game?
I mean, that's the only part I'm not sure of. I feel like when you pick Tide on this slot, based on what you're kind of saying we like the Tide's interactions more than the Slardars. So I'd be more inclined to say the higher values when you put him 3, he gets the items, he can take the fights aggressively, as opposed to you 4th pick a 3 that, or you 4th pick a 5 that you put in that role, and then you put your Slardar in a game where you were willing to pick another 3 anyways, my point, right?
Right.
Because even if they play the Tide 5, they're basically saying we were willing to pick another 3 hero and put Slardar somewhere anyway, so... I mean, now they have an interesting choice, right? Because neither of these heroes really wants to lane versus Razor, so... I'm assuming it's a carry Razor.
Is there a world where you can play off-lane Slardar and he really focuses on pulling the wave with sprint level 1? So you just disconnect the lane immediately against Razor, and whatever support you're with just tries to zone off the Dazzle so you get the pulls through? Because if you're just playing this lane heads up, you're just going to get rolled, right? Like, there's no way you play against Dazzle.
I mean, you can always pull the early waves, get a level 2 or 3 timing. I mean, Slardar Snap is a pretty strong lane if you get to all in someone, right?
It just doesn't beat
someone in and you minus armor. I think it's possible you can just all in this Dazzle on the side if you really play for it, and just play to kind of let the carry have his way to a degree, try and limit the interaction with him.
It just feels high risk, high reward. If you're all in on Dazzle and you don't get the kill, you're poison touched, you get static linked, and you're not really getting out, right? Because the slow is just overwhelming.
I mean, you can TP.
You can sprint always, TP away always. That's true. Yeah.
Both teams looking like they're targeting mid laners for the final picks on both sides, but it could be a gamble. Yeah, I could see both teams having Mag Razor being sent mid for Liquid, or SF Tide being sent mid for OG. Options are still wide. Which,
I mean, from a theory standpoint, it somewhat favors second pick, I think, because you get to actually see what that commits to, and you get to adjust, right?
The current 4 matchups are good for SF mid. So I think back in the day there was a phase when Razor performed really well against SF. I think that's an SF favorite lane through and through now. Like, you can't run it. It's just the damage is way too overwhelming too fast. Obviously, that is under the condition you go Razes.
Oh, okay, yeah. See, that's what I was curious.
You have to go Razes if you do that one-on-one mid, but.
I think most of the mid SFs are still going.
Yeah, they probably are.
I mean, there's not much that destroys SF in the current meta, I think. You're probably talking about some of your niche peaks in terms of like Lina sniper type heroes.
Yeah, Lina.
And maybe you gank him. I mean, I think what really slows SF's game down is when this hero has early deaths. Because it takes a while for him to recover from it. His whole farm cycle of going to side camps back to mid getting runes gets disrupted. I mean, heroes like Enchantress or something, right? But you're looking at Dazzle Weaver. Your mid-gank potential isn't super high. Weaver can do it if he's snowballing his lane. You just Sakuchi in, bug the guy. It's a pretty solid kill potential. But it doesn't look like a game he can leave his off lane alone.
So until we see this last pick, I'm just trying to wrap my head around this. Do you have like a good read on what Liquid's plan is with these 4? Like, do you think the last pick is just going to be solving everything, or am I seeing problems that aren't there? Like, I look at this lineup and I have a hard time imagining how you enter fights, what the game plan is entirely, like what timing you're aiming for. I think that's way more straightforward for me with OG's draft.
They insta-pick the Ember.
Yep, there's your fight starter.
Yeah, that helps for sure.
Slight and power user too.
Ember Mag. Sure, okay.
I mean, I think you either go the route where you pick a spirit and you say, okay, we're gonna try and play some actual tempo, hold some of the map, be able to engage you, or you pick some ultra carry there, put the Razor mid, use them as a bulwark, and say at some point we're going to enter the Roche pit, come into us, and use the Dazzle Mag as counter initiators, which is a route you can go, though I don't think it would have worked out that well for him, just because I think it's pretty hard to play that in the current meta.
I definitely think the Ember was the right direction for this. And now they've ended up putting the Magnus position 3, so he's going to get more levels. The supports were Dazzle Weaver. and OG opted for Tide 5, so they did come in that direction, and they will play the Slaughter off lane. I think it's really exciting. I'm happy Liquid picked this last hero. That has me a little bit more confident, and at least I have an easier time envisioning what they're trying to do now with the strategy. So this might be another great game.
And Avery, you were saying that depending on where the Razor might go versus the Slardar might have to do tricky stuff with wave pulling. Is that still going to be the case? Because it is Matu on the Razor, Amar on the Slardar.
That can be a really tough lane. It depends if they find a way to wiggle out of the early waves. For example, they get to the level 3 and they can all in with the minus armor, the cookie, the stun, whatever. Like Razor can even die on that lane if all things are even. But it's a question of do you ever get there on an even footing. And it should be pretty difficult.
Let's find out. It's time for game number 2 with Jenkins and Moxie.
All right, well, OG was showing some very strong dominance in game number 1. It's time for Liquid to punch back and maybe utilize, this Zai Magnus is always a very fun thing to watch.
Yeah, you have a carry. Razor is the only thing to pair up with it. Like, they're relying fairly heavy on Mike having a solid game here to be the Magnus Empower target. I feel like SF is really good as a carry. Like, I almost want to say he's just a carry. Like, he's a better carry than he is a mid. I don't know if we've seen it lose yet.
I'm not 100% sure. I do know that we are just seeing it.
At least I haven't.
Very, very powerful when they start doing this right-click build. It just farms so fast.
It hits so hard. You just get crit for your entire HP if you're a Dazzle. It's sad, but a great lane for a Dazzle. I mean, Dazzle Razor, like, Slardar is going to have such a tough time here. Like, Razor alone, you just run at him. You just run at the Slardar, steals damage, easy last hits, Dazzle, you press the Q, keep that buff up. Although it doesn't work with the Razor's right clicks anymore. It's just Dazzles, but it does slow a lot now.
How do you approach this lane then? How do you make this so you're not, being totally zoned out or feeding?
I think maybe it was SVG that had mentioned it. The wave cutting is definitely the play. Like, anytime you're in one of these like really unfavorable lanes, it's like 60-30, you just cut wave. And in the off lane, you can always get away with that, so why not? Force 50-50.
It's getting clicked down here. BZM Yoragi will start off the game with the first blood.
Wait, did Yoragi start a Presence of the Dark Lord? That is cool. So that's a lot of right-click damage for that level 1 engagement. Unfortunately, with the kill, he doesn't get any souls, but still, I mean, -4 armor at level 1. People were talking about how the TA meld is OP, because it was, -7 armor at level 1. -4 permanent is, and that's pretty nuts as well.
Well, it was enough to help get him that first blood, that's for sure, so.
Yeah, with 5 heroes right-clicking, it's a ton of damage.
Be interested to see how this lane goes now, the way that you obviously know Liquid wants to dominate, and Yoragi down here just going to keep trading some hits with Boxy. There's not much that Misha can really do here other than throw his body forward at this time.
Insania, dealing with this Taiga 6 mangoes, like, so annoying.
Just gonna keep on regenning here.
Oh yeah, 13 regen with the Tango going, 7.3 without.
I know it's not a traditional 1v1, but I feel like every time we look over at Taiga and Insania, it feels like a 1v1. The way that they keep going after each other.
You know they're going for each other too, like.
It's friendly competition, like when you're playing it in-house with your friends. Sort of deal. Just a little bit more official.
Yeah, with a major on the line.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Potentially. But it is nice to see the boys having a good time, realizing that there's no bad blood between the two of them.
I mean,
this is refreshing.
This is kind of cool. The way that they're dealing with this lane is that Taiga just bought these mangoes, which looks hilarious, but it gives him a ton of regen. And he's just playing to the right and soaking all of the Dazzle Qs for Slardar. So Amar's actually having a pretty good lane.
It does feel like if Amar has a very comfortable lane, they usually get to put this massive amount of aggression out of OG. So perhaps that's the idea, is like, all right, this guy is one of the keystones to how they like to play. Let's make sure that he's feeling miserable, but he's having a good enough time.
He's doing okay. I mean, 6 denies on Tumba Man, so that's rough, but Slardar versus Razor, what do you expect?
We were concerned that they would feed though at this point. Like, it would be just too difficult for him to even approach.
Yeah, I thought they would. I really thought they would get boots on Taiga and wave cut. SF is so annoying as a safe laner. You basically have to kill him.
Boxy needs to be a little careful here. They do a lot of damage. So they're just walking down Boxy. He does have the Scoochie up at the last minute. But that is a lot of damage that's been applied, and he does just pick up some fresh regen. So
Zai's dumpstering here, though. I mean, this is another one of those, like, last game we saw this as well, between the Pango and the TA. Mag versus SF is another one of these, like, 1v1 mid matchups that you'll often see, and Mag does really well against SF early because of the huge damage advantage that you have. But eventually, I believe SF will, you know, freely CS
take
here.
off, yeah.
Although Misha being a Tidehunter is a bit of an issue. I think you're much more comfortable with a Weaver supporting you than a Tidehunter supporting you.
Right.
So there is actually kill threat on SF down here.
Was this the situation that after a certain point, Yoragi's just going to go off into the jungle and it's going to allow Misha to soak, or?
He can. SF definitely can once you have lifesteal. But to me, this hero is played a lot better when you, like, maybe get a kill with a rotation from Puck or something, and then you just dominate the lane.
Okay.
By just getting huge CS with your, 100 damage.
Taiga realizing they don't have anything to cancel this TP, so it's just gonna zip on out right underneath their noses. Again, it's a very measured game here. Nothing too wild right off the bat. Just gonna farm up and be patient, wait for those item timings, and I think we're gonna see a very aggressive OG start running at Liquid.
People have gotten so good at laning. This is such a frequent occurrence these days in every region. Where you just don't see a huge amount of kills in the early game until like the runes start spawning and people start moving out of their lanes. Like, people have gotten so good at securing range creeps and, pulling, blocking pulls, playing to the right and the left of the lane. Like, laning in general has gotten a lot better from people. And so it's just funny. Like, 2 years ago there would be so many kills at this point, but this is just how Dota is now. People are too good.
I think we were having that conversation. Oh, nice strike back. Get that shockwave. Skewer forward here from Zai. Wants to put enough damage out. Not going to quite have it. They'll be absolutely fine. But no, we were having this conversation in the green room and talking about how just the scale of Dota has... Oh, Taiga, can he get the deny? Yes, he can. That's going to be the neutral creep who gets the final hit.
You see what I mean? It's like, people are just so good at, like, buzz killing. You're just not going to kill me. I'm going to die to tier 2. I'm going to die to neutral creeps. It's like, oh, I'm suiciding right now for regen. Like, and killing people is not even that good anyway, because they come back and they're full HP, full mana, and then they just own you. So
the skill cap has definitely evolved to be much higher, though, as we get further and further here.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, I mean, it's like...
Yeah, might as well. Might as well.
It's such a funny state that Dota is in, and I think a part of it, the bottle fills as well, same idea.
Water boy. Ooh, though, nice rotation coming out from Dazzle, but again, just going to be able to zip away. They don't have any super hard lockdown. They'll slow down Mickey a little bit with the Scatter Blast. We'll force BZM, though, to go and use that Fairy Fire just to ensure as he finishes up this bottling. But yeah, like you said, like, it's all coming down to these minuscule details, which is really kind of crazy to think about. Like, remember when people first started smoking to go and plant wards, like, we were all like, oh my god, that's next level. Now it's next nature to us.
Yeah, I think the first like reaction to that was like, oh, that's terrible. Why would you solo smoke? And then slowly but surely you realize, like, the amount of vision that you get from it's like, oh my god, that's amazing. Why wouldn't you?
Why haven't we been doing this the whole time? Exactly.
Yeah. Suiciding, very similar thing. I think a part of it is like the fact that careers take so long to bring you regen, and yet lanes are like so easily won by just buying a ton of regen for your core. So it's kind of like the supports get owned.
Ooh. Nice hop here. Boxy forced to pop some of that regen. So they have a little bit of a rotation from Taiga. Now this seems wild to me too, the fact that they're just leaving Amar up here all alone. And again, I feel like this lane should have gone much differently for the side of Liquid, from what everyone was saying anyways.
He's not supposed to farm that well. I mean, he's not. Like, the old Dazzle, where the Q could be procced by Razor, you could probably kill Amar up here. But another thing that has changed in the past few years with Dota is people are really good at, like, staticking and always 50-50ing the off lane. Just pulling the creeps back to your tower, and it's like, you're not going to dive that tier 1 tower to get a kill on Amar. So as long as, like, he can cut waves and D-ward and pull camps and stuff like that. Like he's got ways to play the lane.
Indeed he is. It's a nice little bash here over on Insania. Just gonna back off. Bottom lane, the cookie out forward. Not sure they have quite enough to finish off Zai. He is underneath the tower. Boxy clicking away on Taiga, looking to see if he gets the final kill, but Taiga going to run into the arms of his fellow supports. They'll salve up. As does Zai, but Zai's salve gets interrupted thanks to that gush. A little bit of a stack camp here too. A couple of these creeps.
I like that they're down here with Taiga, because I feel like this is recognizing that SF, if given like a little bit of a lead, can just absolutely dumpster in terms of CS. Like you just can't enter the lane against him. But Zai is honestly just playing this really well. Like his little mechanics with like pulling creeps away, like you can see him doing that with the hard camp, you know, getting last hits with his empower. Like Zai is just a really good instinct player in general, but also like when it comes to laning.
I also think this is a very good hero for him on top of everything else. As we do see the rotation from the Razor. Go for the RP coming out from Zai. Let's steal all the damage as possible. Yagi trying to run away. He's not going to be able to do it. He will fall. So will Misha on the back lines to Box. So a good rotation here. And again, it's Matumba Man.
I love his rotations in both of these games. Once again, just to like restate it, it's not something.
It's not typical of your position one to make the rotations, right?
No, it's not.
But I would say this is something that Liquid does even before they picked up, you know, Matu here, is that they always kind of hold that thought. Sania to use the Dream Coil. Boxy trying to get some damage over onto BZM, just trying to force him back a bit. So the Dream Coil gets used, doesn't end up resulting in a kill. But I would say that, you know, OG in the past, they always were very flexible with the way that they move their players. So it wasn't necessarily, you know, always the mid player who's going to be moving. It's not always going to be Koifa. It was, you know, sometimes it was Mickey, sometimes it was Boxy. Sometimes it looks like Zai's taking a lot of damage here and needs to get himself underneath that tower. Yagi starts pulling off. He's going to turn back around, give a couple clicks off to Mickey. BZM joining in, has the silence off. They need to have some sort of way to hold him in place, though. I'm not sure they possess it at this time, as more people joining into the fray here. Misha getting clicked around. Boxy dropping the swarm over onto Amar. Needs to be careful, staying very, very low. So has to get that bug off as fast as possible. Looks like BZM will assist with that. Gonna just go away, but they still manage to get the call onto Amar. Misha clicking away on Zai. Taiga's here, though. They're gonna try to make some moves over onto Zai, but they need to be careful they don't go too far. Another orb getting tossed out. Boxy looking for this opening. The Remnant forward. They'll find the kill on BZM. Liquid this time bringing all the aggression to the door of OG.
Kind and nice words.
And they're not done. They want Misha. Can they get him? Yes, they can.
I love how active they're being. Like Boxy in particular, every single time you see a play made by OG, it's like the camera moves a little bit to, you know, the south or the north or whatever, and it's like, oh, Boxy's already there, throwing bugs on the back lines. Like he's being such a tremendous pain in the ass right now. And, you know, you are a hero that has max move speed, so I suppose it's, you know, easier to do this on Weaver than other heroes, but to just have the wherewithal to like always be at the fight and in the most annoying place possible. I mean, it's carrying Liquid right now. It's letting Mickey like go back in every time. Like he's just in and out, in and out. Keeping Zai alive too. Zai's itemization. This keeps him alive. He's got the Ring of Health. Yeah, they're just like poking. Like look at this.
I know, right on back lines. It's beautiful the way that Boxy's allowed to skirmish throughout this entire time.
He was mid too, doing this like exact same thing that we saw in the bot lane. He was being so annoying. Like this looks like a really good hero for Boxy.
Well, he played some of that in the offlane, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like he's a stranger to it. It's just slightly less farm priority.
Yeah, he's not a stranger to forward position either. It's like on previous Liquid, he would frequently play forward position, sometimes swapping in and out with Taiga, actually.
Getting so excited that the entire webcam shakes here, but Misha is going to get left behind. As Matu uses that plasma field, BZM gonna grab himself up a nice invis rune. Mickey is going to be denied of that.
Poor Misha, his inventory is so barren.
Sometimes it'd be like that as the 5.
It's so sad. No boots, please. I need shoes, my feet. But BZM does have his travels up. That means that like OG naturally are going to have a bit of a map advantage. He can always be bot and then also like show up towards top.
Not even trying right now, and I'm lagging.
All right. They're really protecting this top tower quite well. They've had a couple skirmishes coming out here from the side of OG. They've just not been successful, as Liquid seems to have a good idea of how they want to approach this. But again, sometimes it feels a little like they just keep throwing bodies up against the wall, right?
I like it. I mean, they have the heroes for doing it. Last game, Matumba Man was running around on a troll, which is pretty atypical, and you know, running around on a Razor, maybe atypical for a carry, but not atypical for a Razor to do. So, like, they do have the heroes for running and taking these small skirmishes. Absolutely. Like, they don't have crazy team fight, but they do have these like great skirmishing heroes.
Oh, for sure.
Weaver, Ember. Once Zai gets up his blink, like, they will have good team fight, but you know, that's always a later item for Magnus offlane.
I was referring more to the fact that OG keeps throwing bodies up into this top lane. Like, you can tell they really want to crack
Oh,
this
OG
area,
does, yeah.
They're just struggling.
Yeah. That rotation from Yuragi was one of those, like, on the cusp of, if you go at, like, 6 minutes, there's almost no way to defend a tier 1 tower. And so he dies, and then he goes up there, and he's like, well, okay, I can't go back bot because it's unsafe now, so I'm just going to go top and get the tower. But it's getting to the period where, like, you now need to make a move for that tower.
Right.
So it was in that weird, like, interim period where it's hard to be 100% sure if that's a good play or not. And I remember in that fight, like, Zai survived at 10% HP or something. So it almost was a good play from OG. It's just, like, a little bit of a miscalculation and good plays from Liquid.
So is this the situation where OG should continue to throw their bodies over at Liquid, because Liquid does have a great skirmishing lineup?
No.
Or, yeah, that's what I wanted to know. Yeah, look, you can see Boxy spent a lot of time up here and did end up falling in one of the earlier skirmishes.
I like how you say Boxy just because it's Slardar. You're like, oh, surely that must be Boxy.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, my brain. My
like,
brain.
I see Slardar and I think immediately like Boxy.
Yeah.
But, you know, yeah, Mar's been chilling top, and he is close to his Blink Dagger, so I think that's probably what they're going to wait for. They also have Ravage on Misha, who probably his timing is to get a pair of boots so he can actually get in there and hit that Ravage.
He's getting closer. He's saving up those pennies. Look at it. Yeah, he's got them queued up. He's
there
like,
we go. Yeah. Hell yeah.
Boots.
No. What are you doing? Go get your boots.
Doesn't have enough yet for the boots. He's going to walk into Zai. Zai going to deny Misha the dream of having boots on his feet. I don't know if they go for this chat. Yeah, you know, they're going to fight into Amar here if they're not careful. They drag back. Oh, God, Misha's. Let the man have boots.
That's one of those things where if you're Misha and you walk up there, you're just like, what the hell is Zai doing here? Zai has the habit of doing that. He's just in, like, really weird positions, but then they end up being extremely good positions. Like, his read on things, his instincts are just insane.
Look at the way that they're zoning over here. Like Liquid is just completely taken over this area. And it looks like OG just doesn't know how to respond to this now.
Ember is looking like a really good hero in both of these games. Like,
Mickey's well known for his Ember play,
yeah,
too.
Mickey's playing it extremely well. Like, I just want to shout out Boxy because of his, like, being in the right place at all times. But Mickey on Ember, it's the same thing. He's been just poking and being this, like, massive nuisance. Super farmed, and, you know, we talked about it, like, he's the hero that needs to be farmed because they have a Magnus in power, so he's the one that's going to be getting buffed up by this. So him having a good game is really good for Liquid.
Mickey just walking into the smoke gank immediately is leashed up, does have Boxy nearby, does have Insania though, who's going to be able to go throughout the shallow grave. Keep him alive a little longer. In fact, Mickey thinking about going back, and that's like a considerable amount of damage.
Mickey's got his Sange now too, so, like, man.
Zai has a full Lotus Orb, by the way.
Yep. I'm actually seeing this a lot more frequently these days. Lotus, it's just an amazing item. It's fantastic against Slardar. It's fantastic against all of the minus armor that OG has. Actually, I saw Zai do this in a pub. He was Silencer offlane, and he went plate mail, building into a Shivas and a Lotus Orb. So, like, he just thinks that if you're going to do a minus armor strat, there's just good enough armor in the game that it's just not good.
Some more bugs being placed now. They have the medallion on Misha. A couple of these clicks. Silence, though, getting used on Mickey. Has to back off, but they have the Lotus Orb to help protect him. And it feels like, OG, they just keep trying to crack this tower, but Liquid giving them no quarter at all.
Now, that... the more that I think about the Lotus Orb, I'm thinking about how OG, like, wants to get back into the game, and to me, it's they pick up the Blink Dagger on Slardar, and then they, like, burst somebody with the minus armor in the stun duration. But if Zai is just sitting behind and, like, Lotuses somebody and takes that minus armor off, I think that Liquid has such a gold lead that if it's like an Ember getting gone on or even like Matumba Man getting gone on, I don't think they're going to kill them because of this Lotus Orb. So Zai, by picking this item up first, like it looks funny, but he's kind of like taking away the one obvious way back into the game for OG, which is super cool.
He's completely buffing and protecting, right? Like you've got an Empower that he's going to throw out. You've got the fact he's got a Lotus Orb that's going to be able to remove any silences. It's nice. It's definitely a different way of looking at, you know, playing the position for the offlane.
It's really good. And pairing it up with Matumba Man's BKB timing too, you can't just Ravage him and deal with him that way. And you also can't just Slaughter Amp him and deal with him that way. Like, if you can't kill him with physical and you can't kill him with magical, like what the hell is...
How do you kill him?
What's left? What's left? It's so smart.
OG feeling a little pressured here, not feeling comfortable enough to be fully in their own triangle. They are split up a little bit, though. They're trying to, you know, push out several lanes. You can see BZM doing the puck thing, where he's just going to try to give it a shove. Of course, very difficult to get your hands on them, but they're in the Roche pit.
Yeah, they're
on the side of Liquid. They're not afraid. They have plenty of negative armor. It's pretty hard for them to make these moves. In fact, look at this Boxy. He's going to go poke a little at Misha. Again, they have that medallion, and this is some of their big team fight here. If they lose Misha, it's just, yeah, look at that. Just a casual little click coming out from Matu.
My boy still has no boots. I mean, this is how support Tidehunter can feel if the lane doesn't go particularly well, where you're kind of just a Ravage, but Liquid hasn't given them the opportunity to use the Ravage in a way that wouldn't just be terrible.
Yeah, if he went, we lose Taiga there, but like if they had forced out a Ravage, it would have been a waste. It would have been a complete waste because, you know, he needs to have that. So they're just finding him really early. And again, that is, you know, the position 5, you're supposed to tank, ganks, break smokes, but when you're that important, it becomes a lot more difficult for you to play this role on that hero.
Yeah, the Ravage becomes more and more important the farther behind you fall, because it's like, okay, like, you know, how are we going to kill them when we're at this deficit? Like, we need to hit more and more heroes with this AoE ability, because then you get more value out of it. But you're doing that with a guy that like just picked up boots, and like God knows he's not getting a Blink Dagger for another 20 minutes in this game. So yeah, it's tough from OG, and Liquid is just doing a really good job pressuring. But also on the flip side, I like that OG is like, all right, we're in just farm mode. Like we're never fighting them. We're not going to get this top tower. Let's just split push them entirely. You lose Rush for that, though.
Do indeed. So Matumba Man picking up the Aegis of the Immortal. And I'll be interested to see how they decide to move here. We did just get a Blink Dagger picked up for the puck on the side of OG. So there'll be a little bit more initiation if necessary. Because God knows Misha is not going to be able to provide that. Not right now, anyway.
He's trying.
He is. Is indeed. But this Blink Dagger not going to help out the puck right now. Throw out that Lotus Orb. Oh! Woo!
I like that Zai tries for it. Like, he just can't resist but to go for the really high skill plays. Where, like, you shouldn't be able to catch a puck because you know puck can just phase shift blink in the right direction, but he's like, I'm going to frame perfect this. It's like, okay, Zai, let's relax, dude.
Maybe next time. Amar, though, does get spotted out by Insania and Mickey. Rather, he walks right into them. They'll go for the Ravage. Oh, look at the button pushing, though. They get the save off. Last second, Amar will fall. Mickey, is he going to make it out alive thanks to his support? It looks like he is. Jump forward here from BZM. Going to try to punish this, though. He stayed a little bit too long, Mickey. All of Insania's hopes and dreams for naught, as now he's going to get clicked down by BZM. Zai also forced to run away. Can they finish him off? Can they cancel it out? They cannot. So they'll end up losing Mickey, despite Insania's best effort here. And Zai immediately throwing out the Lotus Orb, waiting patiently. This time they'll be able to kill the puck.
It's a big rip in pepperonis to hit such like a sick shallow grave, and then your core just like walks in and dies afterwards. Like, no.
That was so fast,
Mickey,
those reaction times.
Yeah, that was sick. That was sick. I mean, the thing is, like, they get a bunch of kills from it, so just the delaying the death by that much longer does actually matter. Obviously, you would prefer if like Mickey just 100% survives there and then you get the puck trade, but the grave allows you to eventually get the puck trade.
Ravage.
Like that was
Bam.
That was like last possible millisecond. He was about to get hit by that tentacle.
Very well played. Very good button pushing, but then you stay around just a little bit too long. These things happen.
Yeah, to be fair, like Mickey's been playing on the cusp for the entire game. That's what we've seen in both games from both of these Ember Spirit players, is just being this annoying menace that's like constantly using Slight and playing the perimeter of the fight. So, like, it's just, it's a fine line to tread, is all.
Now, like we said, the margin of error is very small between both of these teams, because the level of Dota has just gotten better and better every single year. Everyone just starts getting better and improving. Especially
with these two teams. Like, I genuinely feel like, looking at the rosters, and especially with the performances we've seen, these are like two top caliber teams.
Agreed. Oh, Misha, he's just going to try to teleport out. I'm not sure if he's going to make it, though. Too much damage coming off of Mr. Tumba, and that's the shard for Taiga that just got sniped. That's a big deal.
Tumba Man has the AC.
Oh, they go for the
right.
RP. Zai wants his kill, knows the rest of his team's nearby. Go for the Presence Dark Lord, but he is not going to be able to survive that. Or rather, the Requiem of Souls. My bad.
This is the one downside to SF Carry, is how insanely squishy he is, and like, boy does he feel this way when you're behind.
You can't get caught out like that, that's the problem. And I don't think he expected them to be right there, though, the way that Zai just ran in with his face. Amar should be able to teleport out in time. Was sitting a little bit low here. As you can see, BZM, he was hoping to get this courier snipe. Does realize that there are a lot of heroes nearby, though, so he's going to teleport out. Taiga, Zai, whoop! There he goes. Gonna drag him a little bit closer, push him away. He's very tsundere, you know, this Magnus. But Taiga will be able to teleport away.
Oh, so close for Mickey. I just realized Yuragi is not maxing Presence of the Dark Lord. He actually has 4 points in stats and then the talent.
Is that typical?
No, I mean,
no, I don't think
usually
so, right?
It's max Presence of the Dark Lord and you're skipping Raise for stats. And like now at this point, we're skipping the Aura for stats as well. It's like at what point are we going 0 skills? You can't do that on SF, but it's funny how that works. And still he's not tanky enough to survive the RP combo.
All right, well, time is a-ticking. Liquid go for the smoke play, but can also see Tiamisha. He's actually getting closer to that Blink Dagger. So has to be very careful not to get picked off. Aegis does get reclaimed, but they do see BZM. Should be able to orb away. Looks like they're still hunting, though, considering still chasing after him. Mickey getting into position as they're going to put pressure on this bottom tower. They already have Tumbo. It's pushing it and heading the building.
I love Refresher Orb on Razor. It's so good. You get 2 links, you get 2 ults, 2 plasma fields, which is, you know, all right. But most importantly, 2 BKBs. And like you can link the same guy twice, and you just get like literally double the damage. Unfortunately, you don't steal double the damage, but you do get double the damage. So you don't actually need to build damage items on Razor to do damage as a carry. And I think it's a really good hero.
Mickey about to walk into quite a few heroes that were smoked up, but Liquid also laying their own trap here. Soji comes up the stair here. Zai walking forward is going to just blink back. Isn't quite sure about the positioning here as they'll pop the BKB. Matu just running down Misha. Don't have to worry about that Ravage at all. As Liquid just continues to take control of this Radiant jungle and put the pressure on.
I love the items that Liquid have built in this game. They have this Lotus Orb first on Zai, Sanj and or Kaya and Sanj, on Mickey on the mid lane, so he's able to tank all of these spells. Boxy's got a Solar Crest, so that's more armor, and then AC's second item.
Oh boy, the buyback from the Tidehunter. They want to punish this. They have the Dream Coil. There's going to be the fear coming out. Long range kisses from Taiga. Getting dropped as Liquid is forced back. And Sania taking about to tick damage here. Misha throwing out the Ravage, but the slide. Oh, the slide from Mickey. Cleaning up, they're gonna go right back in again. Mickey chasing after the Shadow Fiend. Turn their attention now to Taiga. They want to make sure that they can get the kill. Follow up, Boxy's forced to use the ultimate. The puck should be able to run away. They'll throw the bugs out just to see if they can get any more vision. Not gonna be able to quite connect over onto BZM now as they're forcing themselves into the base. There's still a tower up there, Liquid. Might want to focus on that before diving on in. But they're feeling bloodthirsty.
That was pretty close to the best initiation you could ask for from OG. Hitting both Magnus and Weaver the two, like, you know, backlining / supporting heroes. You're not hitting the Dazzle. It's probably your #1 hero. Blink from Amar. The Ravage was really good in that fight. Matumba didn't have BKB as well. And so, and still it goes the way of Liquid. That's got to feel bad.
A little bit of high five here. BZM is going to get chased down. It was a Zai versus Mickey. Who could get there first? And it is going to be Mickey.
Couple of free bounties too. Not bad.
God, all I can think of is that that screenshot of Purge when he's found like, what, 4 bounties?
Yeah.
In his face, just supremely disappointed.
The crazy thing about bounty runes in Dota is that, like, picking up those 2 bounties there is actually worth more in terms of gold than BZM dying on Puck.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, obviously the actual death timer is of supreme value. Like, that means that you can run mid and get that tier 2 tower for, like, relatively free on Team Liquid, and it also lets you control up this triangle.
Well, this time around, Liquid bringing all the aggression to OG, and OG's really kind of just tied into their base. You can see Amar is trying to push out, trying to get into the jungle, trying to get anything that he can, but the rest of the team struggling. See now the net worth, 17K over on Razor, 14K on Ember, and Puck doing Puck things, probably the only person who can really move about freely. Oh, look at this.
Dude, heads up play.
Look at this. They know the chase is on after Amar. We'll slow down using that plasma field. They'll leash up their fish, take him for a little swim, and it's a dead Amar.
All right, shout outs to Insania, who placed the ward. Taiga?
Hell yeah.
That ward in the top lane, the lane ward, that is the only reason that they were able to see. I can't see who placed that. I don't know if it was Insania or Boxy, but whoever placed that is an absolute god, realizing that OG, they're going to have to run through these lanes and do these cheeky plays to get out of their base. So that's the only reason that they know that Amar's in there.
The ward belongs to Insania, by the way.
Oh, how do you see?
You can click on it, and then you click on another button.
I knew that was an Insania ward.
To push back on BZM here on the screen. The zip is on Mickey. He wants this kill. Boxy keeping tabs. He's going to go a little bit further, but they needed more lockdown. So the slippery little fairy dragon will survive. And I will say, one good thing going for OG right now, look what Misha has.
I don't think it matters. I really, it's, you know, it's a 5 tide. So you're going to get this item late, naturally. You're at a point where there's so much tankiness on all of these heroes that at this timing, if you were an offlane tide, you'd be waiting for
Oh god, they just immediately break the smoke.
Yeah, that's an Ember Spirit right there.
Oof, that feels bad.
It's really annoying that it works like that, but it does. Yeah, they're too tanky. He's gonna need to hit like 4 people with Ravage.
Zai getting all the info, seeing himself a Misha, and like you said, maybe that Blink Dagger just doesn't do much of anything. Yuragi though, will try to buy himself a little bit more time, but the damage coming out from Liquid is too strong. It's a double kill for Mickey. He's looking for some more. Matu is gonna be able to get a kill on Amar. And they've got a gem online, so they'll finish up on BZM, and they'll continue to just rip down the vision.
I love watching Zai play against heroes like Puck, because you know he just loves these situations where he's like, I'm gonna frame perfect this skewer to get him out of his phase shift. Like, he genuinely enjoys those moments so much that like he can't hide it, you know? It's like, it's just so obvious in how he plays.
Yeah.
And I mean, it makes him an excellent player. Yeah, this is a bit desperate. You need to hit like a 4 or 5-man Ravage with only 1 Ravage at this point to win.
Was it worth it for them to... Oh, there's someone dying off screen over there.
That was Taiga.
Ah, I see. Is it worth it after your smoke has broken to continue going forward in that manner? Or do you think they should have reset?
I think they're desperate. It's hard to make any other call at that point.
Lamar gets... I can't even say he got caught out, right? He's in his own base. They're just so aggressive here. Thumbaben just chasing after Yuragi. Wants the final hit here. Maybe diving just a bit too far. But look at this damage. He kills Amar. That was a dieback. The respawn coming back up now. All right, that's a really good ravage, but I'm not sure it's going to be quite enough as they are held into place with a beautiful Dream Coil over on several. But Matu, he's just too strong here. Draghi putting out a couple hits over onto Boxy. Boxy immediately using that ultimate, just going to get right back up again. Shikuching out. Takes a decent amount of damage, but he's still alive. BCM, though, chasing. They really want this kill. The silence getting used again over here on Boxy, but no. They'll find him with a final nuke, but while they're chasing him, there's a lot of damage happening over here. They take out Taiga, but they're still just running into the base here of OG. So they take a tower.
And Mickey feels completely unkillable. Once again, I love the itemization from all of Liquid, building like this mass minus armor and HP, or this mass like plus armor and HP strat, because these crazy plays where they're diving could actually go punished if they had like one left. Oh,
wow. They said, all right, this is looking too impossible.